I'm Dave Lawrence here at Valley Forge National Historical Park. In February of 1778, George Washington turned 46 years old. He was staying in this house owned by Isaac Potts in the small community of Valley Forge. In this house, he was joined by his wife, Martha, who arrived at just the beginning of the month, and she would stay here until June. He was also joined by a large military staff, including aides like Alexander Hamilton and John Lawrence, along with a retinue of civilian servants, both salaried and enslaved. It's been said that Valley Forge was the first place where Washington's birthday was publicly celebrated, but to be honest, we don't know that for sure. The only hint comes from an expense account record of payment for musicians from an artillery company on or about the date of his birthday. Was this payment for a birthday serenade? We don't know, and nothing from any of the papers on Washington's staff suggested. Washington wasn't the only person whose birthday received little fanfare this month. Hannah Mason Till, an enslaved cook in Washington's household, gave birth to a son, Isaac, named after his father, who was also a slave in this household. We know about this from baptismal records, by which point both of Isaac Jr.'s parents had earned their freedom. I think it says something about the class and racial divides in this household that the birth of this child goes unrecorded in any of the writings of any of the other household staff. Not that there was much reason for celebrating this month. Just a year earlier, Washington had performed brilliant victories crossing the Delaware to attack Trenton and Princeton. But since then, his reputation had hit an all-time low. He had been thoroughly outmaneuvered by the British general, Sir William Howe, and had lost the city of Philadelphia, the largest city in America at that time. There were a lot of people in Congress and in the Army who were looking at Washington's failure to protect Philadelphia and looking at General Horatio Gates and his capture of an entire army up at Saratoga and genuinely wondering whether or not they chose the right man for the job. Not that Washington's army was doing much better. Valley Forge saw this army at a breaking point. The supply system had utterly collapsed, and the army was suffering from severe shortages of food, clothing, and equipment. With close to a quarter of the men unfit for duty, the encampment was struggling to maintain itself, and disease became epidemic. As a result of these conditions, Valley Forge would become the deadliest encampment of the war, far deadlier than any battlefield. Close to 2,000 men perished in this camp. But change was in the air. Washington was in the process of drafting a proposal to Congress to reorganize the army and solidify his political support. General Nathaniel Greene went out on a grand forage that would get much-needed supplies to the men, and he would eventually become quartermaster general. At the end of this month, Friedrich von Steuben, a former Prussian officer, arrived in camp to volunteer his services to the army. As Inspector General, he would help to reform the training of the men. These and other long-range reforms would allow this army to not only survive Valley Forge, but also face the challenges in the years to come. And with the new alliance with France, the nature of this war was changing drastically. Valley Forge began with this army on the brink, but it would end with Washington firmly in control, a continually evolving army, and a powerful new ally. Maybe future birthdays will find Washington in less desperate conditions. Or maybe not. Keep watching.